Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. Today we're tackling a topic that's got everyone in higher education talking, namely the rise of AI apps like ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, and what it means for how we teach and assess our students. This video draws on my insights from a great article I read recently entitled "Leadership is Needed for Ethical ChatGPT. Character assessment and learning using artificial intelligence." One of the reasons you may be watching this video is because you may be worried about essays being churned out by AI, or it may be because you're excited about the potential to revolutionize learning. Well, stick around because we're diving deep into 4 practical strategies that you could use right now in your teaching. So let's face it, OpenAI's ChatGPT took the academic world by storm. The paper highlights how this AI-powered chatbot was released in November 2022 and quickly impacted higher education. Trying to pretend it doesn't exist or simply banning it may feel like the answer, but as the paper points out, attempting to battle AI technology or prevent it, or detect its use may be considered futile by most academics. Think of it like the internet, it changed everything, and we had to adapt. Well, AI is similar. So what can you do? Well, here are some suggestions. The first is to have an open conversation. Dedicate seminar time to discuss the ethical uses of AI in academic work. Present real-life scenarios about when Gen AI is and is not okay to use. Use university statements like the one from the University of Birmingham, which acknowledges that students can use generative AI to learn, but not present its outputs as their own work. You could also discuss contrasting approaches, such as when the University of Hong Kong temporarily banned the use of ChatGPT for coursework, and explore the potential sanctions it suggested for its unauthorized use. You could also use reflective tasks, such as asking students to reflect on their own understanding of academic integrity in this new AI landscape. You could explore with students, well, how can they ensure that the work that they submit is their own? These kind of conversations will encourage students to think critically about their responsibilities, aligning with the paper's emphasis on character development as an antidote to the potential misuse of generative AI. It's also important to be clear about policies. You must ensure that your module outlines explicitly your department's policies on AI use. At this point, you might also mention any updates your university has started to make in terms of updating their academic integrity policies. Do you have a module that assesses using a traditional essay that just asks for regurgitation of textbook knowledge? Yeah, well, generative AI can probably handle that. So as educators, our goal, as the paper suggests, should be to foster deeper learning and better learning outcomes for students. To do this, we need assessments that generative AI can assist with but not replace. The authors of the paper also argue that ChatGPT can be used by academics, for example, to create new and innovative authentic assessments in higher education. And here are some ideas. Real-world applications is a good one. You can design tasks where students apply their knowledge to complex, realistic scenarios with no single right answer. Instead of generic essays on leadership theories, ask students to analyze a real company's challenges and propose a data-driven solution, justifying their choices. I really like problem-based learning, so what you could do is present students with a complex problem to solve in groups. And you could assess their problem-solving process, critical thinking, and how they justify their solutions, rather than just look at the final outcome. In this process, AI could be used as a research tool, but the analysis is down to the students. This type of learning design moves beyond assessments that AI can easily replicate. I'd encourage you to get creative. Think beyond written essays. Could students create a podcast explaining a tricky concept to a specific audience? Or even design a storyboard for a process? Or maybe develop a public awareness campaign? The paper suggests that while students can have ChatGPT supplement their language for a podcast, it doesn't purely replace the student creating it, framing it as an assessment for learning type activity. You can also use an AI critique approach. To do this, give the students an AI-generated content, example, a summary or analysis, and ask them to critically evaluate its strengths, weaknesses, biases, and areas for future research. What do you think of these approaches? Could you use them? Let me know in the comments box below. You could promote a positive approach, so instead of seeing generative AI as a problem, let's consider how it can be used as a tool to support deeper learning and even reduce your workload. The authors propose that ChatGPT offers students the opportunity to simplify the learning process to create less distraction and more flow. So consider these approaches. Generative AI could be used as a brainstorming buddy. It can be used to encourage students to use generative AI to generate initial ideas or outlines for their assignments. You can emphasize that this is a starting point and that their own critical analysis must take center stage. You should also explicitly ask them to explain how they use generative AI in their process. Generative AI can also be used as soft help for students. You can ask students to use Gen AI for grammar and style checks, or explain complex ideas in different ways before they come to you for help. What this can do is empower students and free up your time for more in-depth discussions. The paper draws on a parallel to software tools like Grammarly being used to support learning. Critique and reflection is important, so design activities where students use ChatGPT to critique their own work or a hypothetical example, and then reflect on the feedback and how they would improve upon their first drafts. And this aligns with the paper's suggestion of asking ChatGPT to challenge assumptions made during a reflection to support elevated self-awareness and critical thinking. You can also help students develop prompt engineering skills. For earlier assignments in the program, you could even assess the quality of the prompts students use with generative AI. This should encourage them to think carefully about how to get useful information and understand the tool's limitations. The paper highlights that students can learn by carefully constructing prompts and evaluating the results. We all know that university study can be stressful. The paper notes the rising stress and anxiety in university students and suggests that stress can contribute to the misuse of generative AI. They argue that for generative AI to be used ethically, we would need to consider how it can potentially be used to help reduce some of the cognitive load and foster a state of flow when students engage in their learning. Flow is described in the paper as a state of immersion one might experience in an activity like assignment writing. Try to think of it this way. If generative AI can help with initial research or generating basic summaries, students can dedicate more mental energy to deeper analysis and critical thinking. But make sure that they understand the importance of verifying generative AI-generated information, as the paper cautions that the veracity of Gen AI outputs should always be questioned. That's just good practice. So what are the key takeaways based on the source paper and our discussions? The first is to acknowledge the existence of generative AI tools and the easy access that students have to them. Then engage in an open discussion with students about its ethical use and its implications. The second is to change your assessment design and move towards more authentic tasks that require application, problem solving, and creativity rather than simply recall. The third is to explore the potential of generative AI as a learning tool for brainstorming, grammar checking, and providing initial feedback and critique on learning. The fourth is to consider how AI can help reduce cognitive overload and potentially foster deeper engagement and a state of flow with the core learning objectives. Finally, be clear with your students about your policies on generative AI use and assessments, drawing on examples, if needs be, from other various universities. The rise of generative AI in education is a significant shift, we can't deny that, but it doesn't have to be a scary one. By embracing the strategies outlined here and being informed by resources like the paper we've discussed, we can adapt our teaching and assessments to not only uphold academic integrity, but also equip our students with the critical thinking skills they'll need to thrive in an AI-driven world. I've provided a link below to this really insightful article and would really encourage you to read it and apply its messages in your own teaching and practice. Let me know your thoughts. How are you adapting your teaching? Let me know in the comments section below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more discussions on the future of higher education. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.